Welcome to Mooloolaba. Mooloolaba. Doesn't that sound great? Mooloolaba. It just bounces off the tongue. Mooloolaba is a coastal community in Queensland, just I believe north of the Sunshine Coast, and it is a rather brisk winter evening. It is mid-July, and I decided to come down and do a little bit of a walk and talk here in Mooloolaba. Oh, I could never get tired of saying that, especially after practicing it for so long and finally getting it right. Oftentimes I'll say that say Mooloolaba to a local, and they'll detect the accent and quickly appreciate the fact that I can actually pronounce it correctly. So it is not too long before sunset, and I'm just going to do what I love to do, and that is just walk and talk and bring you along and give you an idea as to what it would be like if you were walking in these very same footsteps here. So I'm going to see if I can't find my way down to the beach, and this actually looks as good of opportunity to find my way down there as possible. So there are some folks out on the beach, and there's a good, I had to jump down. All right, there's a good that would have been good Tom TV if I had actually fallen. But this is Mooloolaba, folks, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm just around the corner from what's considered Mooloolaba. Oh, there I go. I messed it up. Mooloolaba Beach. And you spell Mooloolaba, Moolooloo, Laba, I think. Mooloolaba. So there you can see my shadow being cast on the sand there, which would mean the sun is right behind me and it's setting in the west, so I would be walking east at this point in time. And to get down to the spot where I'm at, I actually walked along quite a commercial district, and this is a popular tourist destination with no shortage of vacation rentals and all types of things that you can do associated with being on vacation and relaxing. If I'm not mistaken, this part of Australia is known as the place where Australians go to relax. And as you look around as I walk and talk, doesn't seem to be too much of a shortage of Aussies just kind of relaxing here in this beautiful spot. And interestingly enough, it's summertime. Well, it's wintertime here, and the winters are not all that bad as far as winters go. Rather pleasant, to be quite honest with you. They can get a little bit chilly at times, and downright cold if you're someplace like the Victorian high country. So now I'm coming up on Mooloolaba Beach, I would believe, and beautiful walkway right along here. Quite the contrast to all the shops selling various t-shirts and sandals and all that kind of stuff that you might expect to see in a town such as this. But it is really a nice day. And just up ahead I see some fishermen down on the water. And if I turn the camera just up over here, you'll see a lot of the vacation rentals. And maybe what I'll do is just take a short walk and come up and walk you along some of the commercial area of Mooloolaba. It's like a wild turkey walking across the grass right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Some type of a bird. I don't know if it's a turkey or not, but I'm sure there'll be somebody out there watching this video that will enlighten us as to exactly what that was. But look at the grounds here. Just beautiful. Very, very well maintained, as you can see. And if I come just up over this way, you'll see the various stores, commercial storefronts, where you can get everything from a hat to they've even got Aussie beach balls, and so you can get yourself a nice Aussie beach ball if you're so inclined. Go play a little bit of rugby on the beach. So I'll just walk along the street here. It's not, perhaps for some it's interesting as I do a walk and talk to go down the commercial area of a town such as this. I gotta tell you that just spending a little bit of time here that I have, can't necessarily say that this would be my cup of tea as compared to Nelson Bay, Port Stephen, Soldiers Point. Some of those places would be much more my particular liking than what you see here. But so that gives you an idea as to what the commercial area of Mooloolaba beach is, and I would imagine in the summertime that it is probably a lot more crowded than what you're seeing right here. So I'm gonna see if I can't go back and find my way back down to the beach and see if the fish are biting. I'm actually staying at an Airbnb accommodation right now in a little town about 20 minutes from here called Wurtulla, Wurtulla, Wurtulla. And I've been staying there for the last few nights with just a absolutely wonderful hostess. And last night she invited me to join her for a little bit of fish that she or her partner caught right off here, off the shores of the Sunshine Coast of Australia. And I gotta tell you, not being much of a huge fish person, it was really good. It was a really, really good dinner that she made last night. And look at this beach. Just beautiful. And there's actually, if you were to look at a map of this region of Australia and look at Mooloolaba and then head south, you could almost walk the entire distance it took me 20 minutes to drive with your toes in the sand. Nothing but endless beaches. There's a little bit of a harbor or a marina just up here where you can see those buildings off in the distance, and there's a lighthouse out there at the point if you can see it. But starting on the other side of that little peninsula there, that's where you can actually start walking on the beach and find your way all the way down to all the way down to Wertola and beyond. So I don't know if they're just a couple guys fishing here. I don't know if he's got one on the line. I don't necessarily think so. But what a life! What a life this young guy is enjoying. He'll probably take a catch home and for Mom to cook up, such as my hostess did last night for me at my accommodation up there in Wertola. Here it looks like they have some type of a ride, or I don't know what that is, maybe a bungee jump or something. And then you can see the apartments up there. I've actually spent some time over the last several days just looking for places to stay on the website realestate.com.au, and I was looking for some places to stay in this region here, and there's no shortage of places, but compared to some place that I just came from, like Toowoomba, which is another wonderful name, this is Toowoomba is a little bit more my cup of tea. Kind of a small country town, not on the water, mind you, but I'll spend the better part of a week or two here on the water before returning to Toowoomba. And they have a nice pavilion where you can sit and relax. This has really been an incredible opportunity for me to spend some time here in Australia, as I share the picnic table that is shaped like surfboards, if you can see that. Very nice. There's no shortage of things to do around here. Absolutely no shortage. You can actually wander inland just a little bit and go to what are called the Hinterlands, which is a region just inland by about 30 minutes. They've got towns like Maleny and Montville, a lot of other little towns that people call home here in this part of Australia. Right here you can see they've got the signs for the swimming, if you can actually see these. General warnings for Mooloolaba Beach: dumping waves, strong currents, submerged objects. No flags equals no swim. I don't see any signs for great whites, but just up ahead you have the lifeguards station. So I'm gonna just keep walking and see if I can't make it the better duration or the better length of the walk here in about 30 minutes of time. Looks like here you have could be a surf club here, the Mooloolaba Surf Club perhaps. I think they have these various surf clubs set up along the shore, different beaches, and they'll rent you paddle boards and surfboards and all the like. MSLSC members only surf rescue. they'll have, you can see the boat right there. There's your surf rescue, and they got surfboards. Look at that. There's a boat that says Lovin' Locals, and the surf rescue. I don't think there's a lot of people to worry about rescuing these days right now with the cool weather, but there's always some that will brave the cool ocean regardless of the weather. Here's some rentals right there that you can see. Coming into the Sunshine Coast last week, there was no shortage of traffic as I was coming up the highway from Brisbane, or Brizzy as they like to call it, and as my mom likes to call it. My mom has started watching my videos on her big TV that she got back in a small town just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And every now and then she'll surprise me by pronouncing something like Brisbane, Brizzy. Ask me if I'm going to have some brekkie and Brizzy. So now we're up to another segment of the walk, and I'll see if I can't find my way down to the beach. Here they've got some different growths and protecting some young plants that are growing here just off the beach. So I'll see if I can't perhaps find my way back down to the water, and as I walk along I can just pull up Google Maps, and that kind of gives me an idea as to where I'm at. And there is still quite a ways to go on this walk. Look at this beautiful spot here. Just beautiful. All right. There's a big caravan or camper storage lot just over here beyond that fence. There's no shortage of people with caravans, or campers as we call them back in the States. No shortage of caravans here in Australia. I would imagine that maybe one of the ultimate road trips one could take in their life would be to circumvent the continent of Australia. That would be quite the journey. And I just learned of a part of Australia last night. My hostess was telling me about it. I think it's called the Kimberleys or something. It's a area just outside of Darwin, up in the northern state of I think it's the Northern Territory, and just a stunning place to visit if you were going to travel from the Northern Territories to Western Australia. It's actually a spot that I'm hoping to visit, is Western Australia, and I sure would like to see if I couldn't find my way down to Tasmania sometime before this trip ends. This trip actually started with a goal of spending about 2 months here in Australia before going down and spending a month in New Zealand for the autumn. And little did I imagine at that time, little could I have imagined at that time that I would be, in fact, probably staying down in Australia for the better part, if not an entire year. And that is a opportunity that I just don't want to miss. People dream of coming to Australia, spend their entire life of coming down and experiencing some of what I've been experiencing the past several months, and the opportunity to be able to come down and actually immerse myself in the culture, the way of life, is it's a golden opportunity. It really is. And I'm sure there'll come a point in time in my life when I can look back and think about the year that I spent in the land down under. And I'm sure that I will have as much, if not a greater appreciation then, looking back on this point in time in my life, than I do as I'm actually living it. So, it's really wonderful to be able to do these walk and talks, traveling alone and being by myself. It actually gives me the opportunity to share it with those that maybe dream of coming here one day, or those that dream of coming back to here one day. The opportunity to share just something as simple as a walk like this. Here you see some rather nice homes off in the distance, and if you look closely you'll see a bird, one of those turkey vultures or whatever they want to call them, kind of walking along through the underbrush there. This is the Chana or Kana holiday accommodation. It is so interesting to travel so much of Australia and actually just see one magical spot after magical spot, and there's absolutely no shortage of places that you might want to visit, if not even call home. I'd have to say probably one of my favorite spots of the trip so far has been that of the Mornington Peninsula. That was quite a surprise for me, the Mornington Peninsula. It was just absolutely beautiful. And one of the areas that I'm actually coming up on here is it's a picnic area. And you'll see these picnic areas all along the coast of Australia. And they actually have propane. And you just come up and you just fire up the Barbie, so to speak, you see? So you can just come up, there's no cost or anything, you just push a button and you let the Barbie start heating up, and throw some shrimp and steak on the Barbie, so to speak. I first experienced that when I was staying up in the direction of Cairns on a previous trip to Australia. Young lady going down to the beach with her little notebook. Look at this. Just beautiful. I'm actually looking at the clock of the video, and I'm going to see if I can't wrap this up in 30 minutes. 30 minutes time. I won't get all the way to the end, I don't think, up by the lighthouse, but regardless, I'll still be able to give you a great walk. Should probably give a shout out to a lovely lady named Michelle, who I met in Croatia and had the opportunity to spend some time with here on the Sunshine Coast of Australia. Make some really nice memories together, to share some nice experiences and memories at the onset of this trip. And this is where Michelle calls home, this part of Australia. And I'm not too far from making it down to the point. It's hard for me to walk along the beach such as I'm doing right now and not let my memory or my mind wander back to Fingal Beach, Fingal, down in Port Stephens, and the wonderful evening walks that I had down there, chatting with the fishermen, even casting a line in the water once or twice as I was walking along. It's hard to imagine, as I do walk along, the disposition of so many places in the world right now with the global pandemic happening and what have you. And it just seems down here to be far removed from all of that, at least for the time being, seemingly far removed from a lot of the chaos that's going on in the world. As I film this, I am anticipating going up to Harvey Bay, and by the pronunciation you would think that it was spelled Harvey, Harvey Bay, but in fact it's actually spelled Hervey, like Harvey Bay. And supposed to be a spectacular spot for watching migrating humpback whales coming up from Antarctica up the eastern coast of Australia. And as I walk and talk about my coming plans, I can see the boats that are coming in, and they actually seem to be going into that opening just over there. And I will take the extra 5 or 10 minutes and walk along and just see if I can't make it all the way over. It's actually quite a challenge at times to be able to do a walk such as I'm doing right now, and to be able to continually share thoughts and other things as I walk along. It's always a bit of a challenge, to be quite honest with you, to not sound like I'm just babbling. And at times such as now, I find myself just kind of thinking what to say next. But somehow or another, I managed through. But the area that I'm going, known as Harvey Bay, is an area, it's a very special area where I believe the whales actually stop and smell the roses, so to speak. It's a spot that, as they're coming up from Antarctica, and they're probably about a good halfway up the eastern coast of Australia, that they gotta keep watching the water that it doesn't get my shoes all wet. But the whales there are very accustomed to the boats, and they will come right up alongside the boats. And oftentimes that I've been going out to watch whales, whether it be in the Monterey Bay Peninsula or other spots around the world, you're lucky to see a tail flap in the air, or the occasional, what they call a breach, the whale jumping up out of the water. It's always nice to see something like that, but I can't say that I've ever been on a boat where the whales were just within distance of actually touching them. And it would seem from what I've looked at online that probably the better chance that I will ever have of touching a whale or coming nose to nose with a whale will be in a few days at Harvey Bay here in Queensland, Australia. Kind of reminds me of a story when I was a little boy growing up in a town just outside of Euclid, Ohio. There was an older woman that lived alone in a little duplex just up on the corner of the street and the boulevard where I lived. And if I'm not mistaken, her name was Mrs. Frankenstein, of all names. I believe it was Frankenstein. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure her name was Mrs. Frankenstein. She was an older woman, and I don't think you really saw her that much. You just knew she was one of those neighbors that you just knew was inside the window, inside the door. And one of the big rumors among all of us young children growing up in that wonderful neighborhood in Northeast Ohio was that Mrs. Frankenstein had been on a ship and she saw a whale. And that was the big thing. Every time you walked by Mrs. Frankenstein's house, you would think of her on that ship, seeing a big whale like Moby Dick or something like that. So I'm just coming up now to the point, and I'm at 33 minutes into the video. And as often as I do these videos, if people want to watch and sit through the duration of the video, like I know Mark and Nancy in Central Michigan do, they'll have a date night. Mark and Nancy, they'll have a date night and make some popcorn and watch some Tom TV. It actually wouldn't even surprise me if the one and only Oz, Carlo, as I affectionately have come to call him, Carlo down in Melbourne, wouldn't surprise me if he's not thinking right at about now that he was wishing that he was sinking his toes into the sand as I walk along here. So I am just up right now to about the spot here where the boats come in, and I think the lighthouse is just off to the right. And I don't think, to be quite honest with you, that I could really walk much further. Sun is actually going down off to my left right now, which would mean that I am walking north, if I'm not mistaken. Or actually I'm walking, I don't know which way I'm walking. I don't know which way is up sometimes. But so here we go. And we'll go up, and some gentlemen fishing just over here. Let's see what we got. Look at this. Wonderful. For those of you that decided to stick around a little bit, maybe we'll see what they're catching. So this is the end right here. Look at that. Isn't that nice? They've got, I think that's the lighthouse just off in the distance over there, if you were to look at a map. And there's some nice properties over here.
I don't think you need to scoot
Look at that. And then you could walk up this way, and folks jogging along. Boy, wonderful. Just really, really, really wonderful. So there must actually be a marina up here. I'm going to actually opt to walk in the opposite direction, and I'd be willing to bet by doing so I'll come down to a marina. No shortage of dog lovers down here in Australia. You see lots of dogs. Look at the beautiful grounds here. Just wonderful. It's so nice to be able to have a situation in life such that I can travel and take my work with me. That's something that boy, I just can't begin to tell you how nice that is. As we walk past these boats that are moored, I think is the word, just off the bank here. Gentlemen getting ready to do some fishing. Look at these beautiful trees. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if there's another special person out there named Ronnie Redlick who might be still watching this video 38 minutes into the show as I walk along. If you are watching this, Ronnie, boy, I sure do think the world of you. You know, all the wonderful chats we've had over the duration of my travels, keeping me company on many long drives. Look at the boats just harbored here. As I'm walking along, I just happened to notice that my setting on my camera is set for the white balance of a cloudy day, and there's not a cloud in the sky. So, well, folks, that is your Mooloolaba walk and talk, and I hope you enjoyed it. And what a better way to end than sharing this with you. Watch this as I zoom in a little bit. You'll see some folks that are rowing. Look at that. All right. So as they say in the land down under, Good day, mates, or good on ya. Take good care from Mooloolaba.